This is Mischief Reef, and over the past 10 years, this quiet and scenic reef has slowly but surely turned into a Chinese military base of crucial military significance. If we take a closer look at the island, you can see a runway, anti-aircraft weapons, and a missile defense system being built. But this isn't normal. This is part of China's military buildup all across the South China Sea, and this is happening to several reefs. This is because of something called the 9-dash line. China claims an area of sea within what they call the 9-dash line. This line was created in 1947 by the Republic of China to assert their historical claims to the South China Sea. And subsequent Chinese governments have followed suit with this maritime claim and never given precise coordinates of the dashed lines in order to remain ambiguous and to allow claim to many different parts of the sea. This 9-dash line also conflicts with the official UN maritime laws. The UN instead permits each country a 200-mile radius from their borders. This radius is called the Exclusive Economic Zone, or the EEZ, whereby the country has exclusive rights to exploit the natural resources in that area. So, when you look at each country's exclusive economic zone, there's this big central area in the South China Sea that isn't under any country's control. That's where Mischief Reef comes in. Mischief Reef, part of the Spratly Islands, is just one of the many reefs and islands located in the middle of the South China Sea. Seizing control of these islands effectively extends your exclusive economic zone, thereby enabling you to control and exert power over the sea. Countries in this area like China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Brunei, and Malaysia are all vying for control of this area. But China has been aggressively gaining control of these islands through something known as salami slicing. This is a strategy of small incremental actions that individually are too minor to warrant a significant military response. However, over time, this accumulates to produce a much larger strategic change. What started as a small Chinese platform slowly progressed into sand dredging, buildings, artificial islands, and finally a large military base spanning thousands of acres with a 10,000-foot runway. However, this aggressive form of expansion doesn't come without pushback from other countries. China faces significant resistance from countries like the Philippines, which can lead to frequent clashes. This was in June 2024, one of the more recent violent clashes between China and the Philippines. During a resupply mission to the second Thomas Shoal, a stranded Filipino boat, Chinese Coast Guard vessels used aggressive maneuvers including ramming, boarding, and using bladed weapons like knives and axes to disable Philippine boats. The confrontations resulted in injuries to several Filipino sailors, with one losing a thumb. This was a remarkably aggressive behavior by China. However, China doesn't necessarily treat all countries the same. Vietnam, for example, has also been active in the South China Sea, developing artificial islands and military bases in the Spratly Islands. The real question is, why is China allowing this to happen if they want to exert so much power over the area? This treatment could also stem from the Philippines' stronger ties with the US, leading China to believe it should exert greater control over the region's sphere of influence. Although there have been disputes between the Philippines and China about the legality of China's actions. But this all came to a head when the Philippines brought a case to The Hague challenging China's 9-dash line claim. The tribunal ruled that China's historical claims to resources within the 9-dash line had no legal basis. China has since rejected this ruling, calling it ill-founded, and continues its land reclamation and militarization efforts. At the end of the day, the countries are engaged in a costly and dangerous conflict to secure control of a sea that their own actions are actively destroying. It is a dangerous paradox where the pursuit of short-term strategic gain comes at the expense of long-term ecological and economical health. The final victory for any nation in the South China Sea may be a hollow one over a sea that has permanently been degraded.